This is Tech for Senior, August 7th, 2023. This is episode 175. Wow. We're piling up the numbers now. That's great. I'm Hewie Poplock. I'll be your host today. My co-host is Ron Brown. Usually it's the other way around, but he's taking the day kind of off, but he's here. So we're glad he's here. And he'll be back as host next week. This is a 1-hour show about technology. We have a Q&A at the end. And today we're going to be talking about security, of course, with Bob, and 6 mistakes in setting up a mesh router. A lot of us hear the terms mesh router. We don't even know what they are. And we're going to learn not only how to use it, but what mistakes to avoid, evolution of the computer mouse, and then chatbots don't always agree, and then Bob's lunar adventure. You're going to learn about the future from Bob, and then, of course, Ray's music after that. And then we'll finish up with our Q&A, and then shortly after the Q&A will be our premiere. And the premiere today is going to include, it's on the back of my paper here. I don't know what it is either. It's here. Home Entertainment Systems Part 2. Ray's going to be doing that. You may remember it. And then where is the music coming from Ron. And then I'm doing what is the immersive reader? And that's in the premiere. And the link to the premiere was put in the chat. And I'm sure Ron's going to put it in again, because if you joined after it was put there, it won't show up for you. This is a program that there's a whole group of us that are part of the staff. So let's say hello. First, we'll go ahead and say hello to Ron. Ron, welcome back to the real world. No dog, no kids, no grandkid. And you're going to be cooking for a bunch of people and they aren't going to be there.
I'm not cooking for anyone. It's that day DoorDash for a couple of days. It's just relaxing time. How
much bacon do you think you went through?
I went through 33 pounds of bacon in 8 weeks.
That's a lot of bacon.
That was only the bacon that we had.
Yeah. You had a prime rib, I think, one day.
A few times, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that wasn't cheap either. Ray Baxter, how are you? Ray is the president of APCUG and treasurer, and he's our music coordinator and a man of many talents. And Ron always says he's a nice guy. I've met him, and I know he's a nice guy. So anyway, Ray, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, but this nice guy business. Who said where they finish?
Yeah.
But no, I'm really glad to be here, and have an exciting show today. And I'm happy I'm going to actually be participating in one of the tech portions as well.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for that. And also, Bill James is going to be doing something. Bill, how are you doing today?
Doing great, thank you. The temperature dropped to 67. We had a rain overnight, and we've gone from 103 to 67 in a matter of hours.
Wow. Yeah, Bill's in Oklahoma City. And let's see, some of our other staff is here. I saw Marcia Berkey is here. Hi, Marcia. Glad you're here. She occasionally does a session for us. I don't see Chris and Jim today, and I know Mike is under the weather. So I guess that's our staff today.
I'm here too.
Oh, Bob, yes, almost forgot. I had you on the top of my list and I skipped over you. Sorry about that. Bob G is here, and he has a few things going on today too. So we don't want to forget him. He's going to take up some of the time today. Bob, how are you doing? How are things in New Mexico?
Good. Like Ray, it was nice and cool last night, but we're sitting at 80 now, and we'll probably top out somewhere around the upper 90s. So,
yeah.
But it is August, people forget August is the hottest time of the year.
Yeah, and we're still in hurricane season here in Florida, and we haven't had an inkling of it. So this is scary.
Wood.
Yeah, it's scary. because between now and November 1st is the rest of the season. And usually August, September is the heavy part. So we'll have to hopefully keep our fingers crossed and it'll all escape us, maybe a little rain that we need desperately, and that's it. So I'm glad everybody is here. Again, the premieres service is at the half hour after the show, and we're going to have home entertainment systems from Ray. So Ray's doing double duty today. Where is the music coming from Ron? And then I'm doing what is an immersive reader. So we've got some good programs in the premiere, and I've had a couple of groups from APCUG saying, you know what, we're using some of the we're using some of the Tech for Senior premiere service. They have found some good programs there, and they're going to use them for their meetings. I know the CFCS in Central Florida is going to be using a couple of them this coming Sunday. And this coming Sunday is the Windows SIG. And then right after it will be the main meeting of the Central Florida Computer Society. And so you'll have a chance to watch some of the videos that we've done in the past. I think Ron's going to be in one, and I think I'm going to be in one. So
Jim and Chris just joined us.
Oh, hey, Jim, Chris, they're part of the staff here now as well, and welcome. And I hope things are good in Fort Lauderdale.
Things are doing great in Fort Lauderdale. We just had it's lunchtime here in Fort Lauderdale. And so we have had a guest and they're doing some stuff. So I'm late. How's everybody doing?
We're doing good. We're glad you're here. So Mike is the only one and he's under the weather. So we've got our whole crew here. And later this month, we'll have learning Chromebooks. Ron and I will be doing that. Ron will be rejoining me. The last couple of months I've done by myself, but we're doing well with the learning Chromebooks. And if you're interested at all in Chromebooks, by all means, whether you're just looking into them or you're using them, it's a place to learn more about them. So with that, Bob, we're going to go ahead and start with the security.
All righty, let's get going. Here is my security news roundup for the week ending August 4th, 2023. Generative AI services pulled from Apple App Store in China. Multiple generative AI apps have been removed from Apple's China App Store, 2 weeks ahead of the country's new generative AI regulations that are set to take effect on August 15th. The move comes after Chinese developers received notices from Apple informing them of their app's removal. In its letter, the OpenCat, a native ChatGPT client, Apple cited content that is illegal in China as the reason for pulling the app. In July, China announced a set of measures to regulate generative AI services, including API providers. The rules require AI apps operating in China to obtain an administrative license, which is reflected in Apple's removal notice. Read more at TechCrunch.com. Microsoft called out for blatantly negligent cybersecurity practices. Microsoft is facing mounting criticism in the wake of last month's attack on Azure. In a post on LinkedIn, Amit Yoran, the CEO of the cybersecurity company Tenable, says Microsoft's cybersecurity track record is even worse than you think, and he has an example to back it up. The security firm Wiz reported last week that the hack on Azure may have been more far-reaching than originally thought, although Microsoft has since disputed its findings. Read more at TheVerge.com. A public service announcement. Scammers are using parking meter QR codes to rip you off. The scam relies on people's familiarity with pay-at-the-meter digital parking payment methods. like the popular Park mobile application. The scammers place their own QR codes on the meters, either pasting over the existing parking meter codes or placing their stickers on meters that never had digital payment methods to begin with. Typically, the scammers charge you a small and reasonable amount at that time, so it looks like you actually paid for your parking that day. Then, weeks later, you'll see unknown charges pop up on the card you used as the scammers use your payment data to purchase gift cards or otherwise misuse your credit card. Read more at ℎ𝕠𝕠𝕟.com. Malicious apps use sneaky versioning technique to bypass Google Play Store scanners. Threat actors are leveraging a technique called versioning to evade Google Play Store's malware detection and target Android users. Campaigns using versioning commonly target users, credentials, data, and finances. Google's Cybersecurity Action Team said in its August 2023 Threat Horizons report shared with the Hacker News. This is achieved by pushing an update from an attacker-controlled server to serve malicious code on the end-user device using a method called dynamic code loading, effectively turning the app into a backdoor. Read more at thehackernews.com. Hundreds of Citrix NetScaler ADC and gateway servers hacked in major cyber attack. Hundreds of Citrix NetScaler ADC and gateway servers have been breached by malicious actors to deploy web shells, according to the Shadow Server Foundation. The nonprofit said the attacks take advantage of CVE 2023-3519, a critical code injection vulnerability that could lead to unauthorized remote code execution. The flaw, patched by Citrix last month, carries a CVSS score of 9.8. The largest number of impacted IP addresses are based in Germany, followed by France, Switzerland, Italy, Sweden, Spain, Japan, China, Austria, and Brazil. Read more at thehackernews.com. FBI, CISA, and NSA reveal top exploited vulnerabilities of 2022. In collaboration with CISA, the NSA, and the FBI, cybersecurity authorities have issued today a list of 12 most exploited vulnerabilities throughout 2022. Cybersecurity agencies in the United States, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom called on organizations worldwide to address these security flaws and deploy patch management systems to minimize their exposure to potential attacks. Threat actors increasingly focused their attacks on outdated software vulnerabilities rather than recently disclosed ones during the previous year, specifically targeting systems left unpatched and exposed on the internet. Read more at bleepingcomputer.com. New HVNC malware targets Mac OS devices. Beware, a new HVNC tool for hacking Mac systems has been identified in the threat landscape by security analysts at Guards. The malware is being sold on a Russian cybercrime forum since April. While the HVNC tool is the latest threat, there has been a growing trend of such threats targeting Mac users, with 3 incidents occurring just the last month. Since HVNC can allow threat actors to gain remote access to machines without the victim's knowledge, organizations are urged to employ robust cybersecurity measures to stay safe. Read more at cyberware.com. This week's must-see on my YouTube channel. Everyone is looking for a deal on textbooks this back-to-school season. You know it, but so do the scammers. Here's what to look out for with ebook scams. Please watch my video on that topic by following the link listed. Did you know? The lead singer of The Offspring started attending school to achieve a doctorate in molecular biology, while still in the band. He graduated in May of 2017. The LEGO Group is the world's most powerful brand. There are more LEGO minifigures than there are people on Earth. I don't spend any time whatsoever thinking about what might have been. Thanks to Alex Trebek. Just thought you might want to know. And that's a wrap for this week's Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening.
The bad guys just don't stop, do they? It's too bad that everything that we find positive about the internet and AI and everything else, there's somebody out there trying to beat the system and make a bunch of money. And the problem is they do. They make a lot of money.
And lots of people keep falling for the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I was in a restaurant last evening, and the waitress was telling us a story. She was looking for a house. She found an ad. She went to the house. There was an app on her phone that she had to use, and the guy gave her the code to get in. There was a door lock. She was able to get in the house and look it all over. She loved it. She made arrangements with him, made a down payment for the rent, and he didn't own it. And when she went to the police, she said, "You can make a report, but we'll never find them." So there's bad guys out there looking to get our money. And the problem is that they do.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Bob. As usual, great reporting on all of the things going on, or some of the things going on, because there's so much more that you don't even touch.
If I reported everything, but nobody else would be doing anything on the show.
You could make it a 24/7 channel. All right, let's go next to Bill. And Bill's going to talk about mesh routers. And if you don't know what a mesh router is, you're going to learn, and you're also going to learn how not to use one. And Bill, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. This discussion is about 6 mistakes to avoid when you're setting up your mesh router. And the reason why I got concerned about this topic is because I set up a mesh router. And so I did a little research to find out the things I should do and the things I shouldn't. And in the meantime, I also found some additional information, which I will share with you today. So a mesh router is a type of wireless networking system that uses multiple interconnected devices known as nodes to provide a seamless and robust Wi-Fi coverage throughout a home or office space. Unlike traditional single router setups, where a single device is responsible for transmitting and receiving signals, a mesh router system employs a network of nodes that communicate with each other to extend the range and improve the performance of your wireless network. 6 mistakes to avoid, and this is what we will be covering this morning, is you don't want to buy the wrong system for your house. If you have a ISP modem router combo and you're using that in conjunction with your mesh router, you want to turn your Wi-Fi radios off in that device. You want to be concerned about placement. You don't want to ignore existing Ethernet wiring if you have it available. You don't want to use a consumer grade system for enterprise grade tasks. And lastly, don't buy a Wi-Fi 5 system in the age of Wi-Fi 6. So those are the topics. So you don't want to buy the wrong system for your house. When consumer grade mesh Wi-Fi launched a few years ago, there were only a couple options, but today there are over 10 systems available for purchase. And some of the factors to consider is take consideration of your square footage with a grain of salt. Manufacturers claim that 4,000 square feet of coverage may give you some signal throughout your house, but you certainly won't get the full speeds of your internet service provider that promised you. In general, it's better to overbuy. Sometimes you need more than 2 or 3 access points or nodes that come in the box. Try not to pick solely based on aesthetics and price if you can help it. Small mesh access points that look cool may be pleasant to look at, but they often suffer from performance issues compared to a bulkier system with larger and more plentiful radios. You want to make sure you get a system with a dedicated backhaul radio for communication between access points, especially if you have a larger home. For example, if your main router is in the basement, the signal may have to travel to the access point on the main level, then up to the access point on the 2nd floor before reaching your device on the 3rd floor. In this case, all those hops will lead to a degraded performance in systems without a dedicated channel for backhaul. Second, you want to turn off your ISP modem router combo Wi-Fi radios. The modem router combo units that your ISP gave you isn't particularly good at being either a modem or a router, my opinion. If you're paying monthly for it, you should definitely consider buying your own modem without the Wi-Fi radios inside. If your unit is included or you don't want to buy your own modem for another reason, you can turn off the Wi-Fi radios to improve the performance of your mesh system. Whether you choose to turn off the Wi-Fi radios manually or put the modem router combo into bridge mode is important to make sure that you aren't broadcasting 2 or more Wi-Fi networks. Broadcasting 2 or more of the same signals, especially on farther reaching 2.4 gigahertz frequency band, can cancel each other out and reduce performance. Poor placement leads to poor performance. The placement of your main router and the satellite access points or nodes can be the difference between speedy wall-to-wall coverage and a slow, spotty signal. Don't rely on the guidance of the mobile app that you are using for setup. Often the app will say, placement looks great, when in actuality, it is a fair position at best. So you want to try to move them around. And in most cases, the node will have a light or a signal and will give you some indication when you're getting the strongest signal. To prevent further frustration, most manufacturers' apps will accept your placement, even if it's only 50% signal throughput, which is not acceptable when you're looking to get access to your full bandwidth internet speed through the whole house. You want to try a few positions, as I said earlier, test your speed and connectivity rather than relying on the app. If you're restricted because of an AC outlet, then you have really few choices. You'll want to start in the center of your house for the placement of your modem and the main access point. If you start in a corner of the basement, you're more likely to take multiple hops to get from the main router to the end user device. Ideally, your setup will resemble a star layout, with each satellite access point connecting directly to the main router or access point. You want to try avoiding doing a daisy chain. You want to place your access points where you already have the strongest signal. Each satellite AP should be about 30 feet away from the main router. Put APs between where you have and want a good signal, not just where you want it. The closer to the main router will give the satellite AP a stronger signal. That AP will then broadcast a stronger signal to your devices. You want to resist the urge to hide APs in cabinets or on the floor. Placing your access points out in the open as high as possible leads to the best results. If you insist on hiding your APs, Get a system with more powerful and plentiful APs to make up for it. You don't want to ignore existing Ethernet wiring. Even the best mesh Wi-Fi systems using wireless backhaul between access points won't stand up to the reliability and speed you get from using an Ethernet cable. If your home has Ethernet cables installed, use that infrastructure for wired backhaul to connect your APs to each other. Look for mesh systems that can use Ethernet cables for wired backhaul. If you have Ethernet running through your house, but it ends in a mess of wires in the basement, you may want to call a professional to sort it out. Or if you're feeling handy, buy a wire toner and start sorting through the rat's nest of wires yourself. You don't want to use a consumer-grade system for enterprise-grade tasks. Don't choose a consumer-grade system if you're running a file server, 100+ devices, or a VPN, and have mission-critical systems that need to be working at all times. You'll need an enterprise-grade equipment to predictably and securely handle that kind of load. Anyone moving to a semi or permanent work-from-home status, an enterprise-grade paired with reliable internet will give you performance closer to what you were used to in your office. Don't buy Wi-Fi 5 systems in the age of Wi-Fi 6 and 7. Now that Wi-Fi 6 is widely available, skip the Wi-Fi 5 systems of the past, like the first generation Linksys Philip and the Wi-Fi 5 Netgear Orbi. Wi-Fi 6 will stay future-proof longer and support more simultaneous devices and higher speeds. Wi-Fi 6 is a must for gigabyte internet connections. Wi-Fi 7 is the next Wi-Fi standard to be released. So I'm going to go over some glossary of terms because we threw out a lot of terminology as well as acronyms. So an access point, or what we said AP, in this context of a mesh Wi-Fi systems, is a physical device that broadcasts and receives Wi-Fi signals to communicate with end-user devices like phones and computers and other access points. The main access point is called the router and connects directly to the modem. A satellite access point does not connect to the modem directly, but instead communicates with the main access point or router. Another access point via Wi-Fi or wired connection. That's also referred to as a node. When we were talking about backhaul, we were talking about communicating between access points in a mesh route network. Backhaul can be wireless using Wi-Fi signals or wired using Ethernet. Bandwidth, that's the amount of data transmitted over a period of time. Think of it as like a pipe coming into your home. As you increase the bandwidth or size of the pipe, you get more speed and support for more simultaneous data usage. Mesh Wi-Fi refers to a Wi-Fi system with multiple access points or nodes connected via Wi-Fi or connected cables. One of those access points serves as the router and connects to the modem with an Ethernet cable. The system intelligently switches devices like computers and phones to the AP with the best signal. A modem is supplied by your internet service provider or owned by the customer. And this piece of hardware takes the signal from the outside of the house and decodes or translates it to something your devices can use. A modem by itself only supports one device. So a router is used to distribute that signal to multiple devices. Wi-Fi 5 is the 802.11ac standard, which is what most devices support now. It supports some simultaneous streams, but can struggle under heavy loads. Wi-Fi 6/6E is the ℏ𝕠𝕠𝕠𝕠�11ax standard. It's available in new iPhones, Macs, and most mid to high-end electronic devices will use this standard, which is a much better at simultaneously sending high bandwidth tasks. The new standard, Wi-Fi 7, is 802.11be. Consumers will soon experience a quantum leap in wireless performance from 8K streaming video to immersive VR experience. Users around the world will be enjoying an all-new level of increased speed and reduced latency. Wi-Fi 7 will be coming soon to a device near you. Here's something I just wanted to throw out. It's called the cognitive engine or a cognitive mesh router. Linksys is now advertising or selling these routers, and what they are, they help a router adapt to unforeseen changes. It observes the environment, it orients the system by prioritizing tasks, plans options, decides on a plan, acts on it, and learns from its actions. By sharing knowledge, these devices spread intelligence across the internet. Linksys has introduced a series of mesh conjunctive routers that are not compatible with their older generations of mesh routers, including their developed intelligence series. So you want to be aware when you're shopping that if you have an intelligent router, you can't use the cognitive router with that system. So I hope this helps and gives you some insight of what mesh routers are and what they do, and some of the things that you want to avoid should you decide to start using or upgrading your routers. Back to you, Hewie.
All right, Bill, that was great. It gives me an idea of exactly what the mesh routers do. I was not familiar with them. I wasn't quite sure. And go ahead and unshare too. One of the things you have to remember with Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7, you've got to have that equipment in your device, like your computer, in order to be able to utilize it. So if you get a mesh system or any other system that's a Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 7, your computer needs to be for it to use that speed, but you're still, I believe they're all backward compatible.
That's a true statement. They're all backward compatible. So it's more of an advantage to, if you're going to spend the money, go ahead and buy the faster devices, because at some point when you upgrade your equipment, you will be using the higher standard. I have one device. I think I have more than one. I have two. I have a computer that actually is running on 6, and my cell phone is running on Wi-Fi 6.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, Bill. We'll take up any questions in the Q&A after the music session. Ray right now is going to talk about the evolution of a computer mouse. Go ahead, Ray.
All right, thank you. I need to get this started here. All right, the evolution of the computer mouse also could be known as the journey of the graphical interface device. So why did we call a computer mouse a mouse? Well, apparently someone thought the computer pointing device resembled the rodent by the same name. And then let's consider this. The cable on the device was said to be like a mouse's tail. So I'm guessing this would have also contributed to how this name came to be. So in the beginning, the early desktop computers did not have a mouse. So all the movements of the cursor on the screen were done with a combination of keystrokes. Now, surprisingly, many of these same keystroke combinations continue to work, and today we call them keyboard shortcuts. Douglas Engelbart, he was a computer scientist working at the Stanford Research Institute. He's credited with being the first to use a pointing device to interact with computers back in 1964. So what's in a name? The name first given to what we commonly call a mouse was the quote, X-Y position indicator for a display system, unquote. Aren't we glad that name changed? Engelbart continued to refine the mouse and in late 1968 showcased his graphical user interface, or what is still referred to as a GUI, or some like to call it GUI. So in the 1970s, Xerox Corporation continued to develop the functionality of the mouse into the Alto, one of the earliest computers with GUI. The Alto's GUI included what we use today, such as menus and point and click. In 1981, the Xerox Star 8010 was released with a mouse, but despite this being truly revolutionary, the Star was expensive, which limited its ability for success. So an arrangement between Xerox and Apple brought the mouse and GUI to the Macintosh in 1984, and then to the general public with this home computer now being sold at an affordable price. A year later, 1985, Microsoft debuted its first GUI in the Windows 1.0 operating system. Concepts we all take for granted today, such as the desktop, icons, and most importantly, the mouse, were all inspired by the work first done at Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center. Now, the mouse has changed over time. Now, as you think back over the decades that you've been using a mouse, can you recall how many different types you've had in your hand? So the following photos and commentary are from the Red Dot Geek, and more details can be found at red-dot-geek.com. The wired mouse, probably the first one we all used, was certainly inexpensive and there were no batteries to replace. But on the con side, it had a cable that required the use of a USB port, and that cable often was getting in the way. Then we moved on to the mechanical mouse. Some might have considered this to be cool. But due to the being mechanically driven, the parts would eventually wear out. And what I didn't like was the frequent cleaning that was required, taking it apart and getting all that dust and other gunk out of there. So that's when we moved on to the optical mouse. It lasted longer with fewer mechanical parts, but with time, people realized that it did not work properly on surfaces that did not reflect light. That would include glass and plastic. Then we had the laser mouse. That did work on glass and plastic, but some said it was not as accurate as an optical mouse. Of course, there's the gaming mouse. Extra buttons that are programmable for other options, mostly related to gaming. This is really bigger and bulkier than a standard mouse. Now, my wife, Carol, she has the Logitech Vertical Ergonomic mouse, a very advanced design, but from the con side, no matter what button I press, it's always the wrong one because they're never where they belong. Now, here's my new laptop mouse. It's an interesting name, a Tenmos M18. It's a USB-C, so it's rechargeable mouse. Amazon is selling it for just under $16. I got mine for under $10 with a coupon. It has a triple mode, which includes dual Bluetooth, wireless, or you can use a USB with a nano receiver that plugs in. It actually allows for two simultaneous pairing on two separate devices. It has two Bluetooth connectivities, BT1 and BT2. And now we all know as modern thin laptops have limited the number of USB ports, using Bluetooth instead of USB connectivity is a major advantage. And what I like best, it has a USB charging port on the back. So that eliminates the need for frequent and often untimely battery replacement. I easily recharge this mouse by connecting the cable between the mouse USB-C charge port with the USB-C connector on my desktop computer. So will a computer mouse continue to be in our future? Some experts are predicting that advancements with touch screens and verbal commands will make the computer mouse obsolete in the not too distant future. But for those of us that grew up using a mouse to navigate the computer screen, it's hard for me to imagine not using one. Long live the XY position indicator for a display system. The end. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. A lot of good memories, especially cleaning the dust out of the old mice.
Oh yeah,
With alcohol and a Q-tip.
that's for sure.
And some of the newer ones are a lot of fun to use and a lot different, and it takes some getting used to. Okay, the next I'm going to be doing something called the chatbots don't always agree. And I found when I first started playing with this, that the chatbots were giving me different answers than I got when I went to record it. And I think they learned from what other ones were doing. And so it wasn't quite as diverse as what I expected, but let's take a look. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Chatbots don't always agree. I'm Hewie Poplock. I saw this question posted on Facebook. I thought that it would be an ideal example of how a chatbot using AI would give the correct answer. Could I be wrong? How smart are you? The stolen bill riddle viral math problem. A guy walks into a store and steals a $100 bill from the register without the owner's knowledge. He then buys $70 worth of goods using the $100 bill, and the owner gives $30 in change. How much money did the owner lose? Let's look at the results of the various chatbots. Certainly, they'll all agree. These are just some of the many chatbots. Let's look at the results of the various chatbots. Let's take a look at ChatGPT. The man stole a $100 bill from the store's register, so initially the store lost $100. Then the man made a purchase using the stolen $100 bill, buying $70 worth of goods and receiving $30 in change. So the total amount he spent at the store was $70 plus $30 equals $100. But since the man used the stolen money to make the purchase, the store didn't lose any additional money from the transaction. The net loss remains $100 from. Let's hear from Ask Seneca. My friend, the store did not actually lose any money in this situation. Allow me to explain. As I have written, a benefit is lost utterly and instantly. When someone steals, they are committing an act of wrongdoing akin to sacrilege. However, in this case, the stolen $100 bill was used to purchase goods worth $70, resulting in $30 in change. The store received the full value of the stolen bill in the form in goods and change. Therefore, the store did not suffer any financial loss. Bard, or bard.google.com. The store lost $100. The man stole $100 from the register, which is a loss of $100 for the store. The fact that he then used the stolen money to buy goods and get change does not change the fact that the store lost $100. The store did not actually receive any money from the man because the money he used to pay for the goods was the same money that he had stolen. In other words, the store's overall financial position is the same as if the man simply stolen the goods and the $30 in change. The store is still down. Here is Claude's answer. A man steals $100 bill from a store's register. He then uses that $100 bill to buy $70 worth of goods at the same store. When paying with the $100 bill, he gets $30 in change back. So the store lost $100 initially when the bill was stolen, but they got back $70 in goods sold and $30 in change returned. So the total loss for the store is $100 minus 70 minus 30 equals $0. Therefore, the total amount of money the store lost is zero. The store initially lost $100 when the bill was stolen, but the man spent $70 of that money back at the store for goods, and the store got the remaining $30 back as change. So in the end, the store got back all $100. That was a Bing from Microsoft. The store lost $100. The thief stole $100 from the register. He then paid $70 worth of goods with the stolen $100 bill and received $30 back in change. That's $70 plus $30 equals $100 before leaving the store. So the store is still down $100. Those were the responses of some of the chatbots. Was yours included? Let's take a look at what the result should be. From mindyourdecision.com, how smart are you? The stolen money viral math problem, the correct answer explained. This was actually posted in 2017. And the author said, I received this problem by email. This problem is making the rounds on Facebook and thousands of people are arguing about the correct answer. How smart are you? A guy walks into a store and steals $100 bill from the register without the owner's knowledge. He then buys $70 worth of goods and using the $100 bill, and the owner gives back $30 in change. How much did the owner lose? There are answers that range from $30 to $70 to $100 to $130, $170, or even $200. And I've seen some that say zero. Answer to the stolen money riddle. The best answer from the choices is the owner who lost $100. The bill that was stolen was then given back to the owner. What the owner loses is the $70 worth of goods and the $30 in change, which makes for a total of $70 plus 30 equals $100. The owner has lost $100. Technically, the owner lost $30 plus the value, or V, of the goods, of the $70 worth of goods. Since stores typically sell goods at a markup, the value may be less than $70. But in the case of a lost leader, the owner may have lost more than $70. Another strategy to solve the problem is to break down it into two stores. Story one, or story A. The guy walks into a store and steals a $100 bill from the register without the owner's knowledge. How much money did the owner lose? Clearly, the answer is $100. The owner is net minus $100. Story B. He buys $70 worth of goods using a $100 bill, and the owner gives $30 in change. How much money did the owner lose? The owner did not lose any money. This is a routine transaction. If the goods are valued at V, the owner is net 100 minus V minus 30 equals 70 minus V. So the story in the riddle is the sum of the two stories. This means the owner's position is the sum of the position of those two stories. The owner is a net 1 minus 100 plus 70 minus V equals minus 30 minus V. That is, the owner lost $30 plus the value of goods. If the goods are valued at $70, then the owner lost $100. Now, there are some misconceptions. Many people think the answer is $200. It seems like the owner had $100 stolen and then another $100 stolen in the second story. But remember, the thief also paid using the $100 bill. So the owner actually gets back $100. The owner's loss is $100. Some people think $130 because the owner lost the $100 bill, then gives $30 in change. But remember, the owner also received a $100 bill and also gave away $70 in goods. Adding up all the transactions leads to the owner losing $100. The other incorrect responses are misunderstandings of a similar sort where people are not sure which numbers to add or subtract, or they are not taking into account all the parts of the story. It may help to view the two parts as separate stories, then add them up. If the fact that the thief paid with the stolen $100 seems to be another source of confusion. It does not matter that the $100 was stolen. It only matters that the bill was genuine currency. Did you get the answer right? Well, chatbots don't always agree. Maybe you didn't either. I'm Hewie Poplock. A bit confusing. I had figured 130. I had tried it with a couple of friends and they said $200. So it's an interesting way to figure some of those riddles out that you see online by using the chatbots, but you can't be guaranteed that the answer you're going to get is correct. And with that, let's kind of look into the future. Bob's done something that most of us have never done, and that's gone into the future. Let's take a look.
In the year 2095, Bob, a young man with a passion for exploration, embarked on a journey to the moon. He had been eagerly waiting for his opportunity ever since the establishment of a new lunar colony. The colony, known as Artemis Base Camp, was a collaboration between NASA, commercial, and international partners, marking the first long-term human presence on the moon. Bob's excitement was palpable as he boarded the spacecraft that would take him to the lunar colony. As the spacecraft took off, he marveled at the thought of exploring the moon's surface and experiencing its unique environment. On arrival, Bob was greeted by the colony's inhabitants, who were a diverse group of scientists, engineers, and adventurers. They welcomed him with open arms and shared stories of their experiences on the moon. The colony was a bustling hub of activity, with research labs, living quarters, and recreational facilities. Bob explored the lunar surface, visiting various research sites and marveling at the moon's unique landscape. He was particularly fascinated by the lunar craters and the breathtaking view of Earth from the moon's surface. During his week-long stay at the Artemis Base Camp, Bob had numerous adventures and explorations on the moon. Here are some of the highlights of his lunar escapades. Exploring lunar craters. Bob was fascinated by the moon's craters and spent a considerable amount of time exploring them. He visited several famous craters, such as Tycho and Copernicus, and marveled at their size and depth. He also learned about the impact events that formed these craters and the geological processes that shaped the lunar surface. Discovering lunar caves. One of Bob's most exciting discoveries was a mysterious lunar cave. Venturing inside, he found a hidden chamber filled with ancient artifacts, suggesting the existence of a long-lost civilization that once inhabited the moon. This discovery sparked a wave of excitement among the colony's inhabitants and led to further research into the moon's history. Visiting research sites. Bob visited various research sites around the lunar colony, where scientists and engineers were conducting experiments and studies. He learned about the challenges of living on the moon, such as the lack of atmosphere and water and the extreme temperature fluctuations. He also observed the research being conducted on lunar geology, astronomy, and life support systems for future lunar habitats. Experiencing lunar recreation. The Artemis Base Camp offered recreational facilities for its inhabitants, and Bob took full advantage of these amenities. He participated in low-gravity sports, such as lunar basketball and moon volleyball, which were both challenging and entertaining due to the moon's reduced gravity. He also enjoyed stargazing sessions, where he marveled at the clarity of the night sky without Earth's atmospheric interference. Engaging with the lunar community, Bob's sense of humor and curiosity made him a popular figure among the colony's inhabitants. He often engaged in friendly banter with the scientists and engineers, sharing amusing anecdotes about Earth and learning about their research on the moon. As Bob prepared to leave the moon, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder. He had experienced the beauty of the lunar landscape and the thrill of discovery. But his thirst for exploration was far from quenched. With his eyes set on Mars or some faraway galaxy not yet explored, Bob's next adventure promised to be even more exciting and groundbreaking.
Well, I can't wait to live in those times. Well, but I
Neither.
don't think I'm going to make it, but definitely interesting, Bob. Thank you very much. I enjoyed that. At this point, we're going to say goodbye to our YouTube people. There's plenty of room. You can come and join us in the Zoom meeting if you'd like, but because of some considerations, we have to turn off the YouTube connection. And we just did. So Ray, we'll turn it over to you for the music section.
Thank you. So today I'm going to talk about a singer's name that you probably have not heard of before, Jeff Castellucci. I consider this gentleman a bass singer's bass singer. So the end of 2013, the fourth season of the NBC a cappella show, The Sing-Off, premiered. And this competition among a cappella singing groups included members of Voice Play from Orlando, Florida, who all met while still in high school. Now, while they made it to the finals of the competition, they were eliminated by the judges, but gained national attention for their innovative arrangements of popular songs. Since then, they have gone on at least 8 national tours and won several awards, including the 2019 Shorty Awards finalist for YouTube Musician of the Year. Now, the bass singer in this group, who's soon to be 43 years old, is Jeff Castellucci, born in Alexandria, Virginia, and he has created what I call his own one-man band using today's technology. So when watching his videos, you might think he's a quadruplet, but no, that's not the case. Those in the know will tell you he records himself 4 times, standing in different spots and singing the different vocal parts, such as tenor, baritone, etc., and then overlays the recordings so they appear as one vocal group. Now, actually, there's a name for this technique. It's called video layering. And by combining the clips into a single video, the result shows Jeff 4 times in the same frames. Now, beyond the technology, Jeff has a voice that ranges over 5 octaves, but he is noted mostly for his incredibly deep bass voice. His music videos will often feature songs associated with a bass lead, such as the well-known 16 Tons, originally performed by Tennessee Ernie Ford. You can find that 2-year-old video on YouTube, where it already has over 13 million views. But today's clip is the ever-popular John Denver song, Take Me Home Country Roads. It's worth noting that Jeff does all the video editing as well. Special thanks go to Bob G today for recommending today's singer. That's a deep voice.
I don't have to tell you,
Absolutely.
I love a deep voice.
Yeah. Oh, that was great, Ray. And it's somebody probably most of us have never heard. And
Mhm.
he even came from my area, and I have never heard of the
Yeah.
group. So
Good. I'll put the link in the chat box now, and then once you're on, hit that link, you can see all the other videos that he's done.
okay, great. Thanks so much, and thanks everybody for attending. We will now go into the Q&A, the questions and answers. Hopefully you've got a few questions for any of us, or some questions either to do with what we showed today, or maybe some other pressing questions. I see Dave's got his hand up first, so we'll go ahead. And Dave, what's up?
Oh, great. That was a great presentation on mesh routers. The recommendation of owning your own modem, it can be good or bad. I know I support several people, and if they had their own modem, it would be horrible. So a lot of times when you have your own, when Spectrum owns the modem or some other company, you can always call that vendor up and they can check the line all the way to the modem and back. If you have your own modem, they're going to say, you got your own modem, tough luck, goodbye. So there's one advantage to leasing a modem from the vendor, like Spectrum.
Okay, thanks.
I'd like to
Thanks,
add
Dave.
to that.
Okay.
Also depends on your provider, because I've never had that problem. I bought an approved modem that my provider recommended, and so they still offer support. So I can still call and have them troubleshoot the line itself with no issues. And I use Cox. And I'd like
I've had the same support with Comcast.
Yeah. And I like to say that my situation here is that I have I'm entirely wireless. I have no wired connections at all.
Okay, thanks, Bill. And thanks, Ron, you have your hand up.
I just wanted to remind everybody that all Ray's music can be found on his music list. And of course, I put that in the chat. You'll find it there. And that's the link. And now that will, of course, I'll be putting that in later on today. But that's all his videos that he's done over the years. Just click that link and it will play them all for you. So if you want a couple of days of listening, go for it. But that's a link. If you permanently put that, save that link, all his music automatically goes into that link. Okay.
And how many of us try to reach those notes since we heard that song? Greg, what's up? You're muted. There you go.
Hey, Ray, does that guy sing for anybody else?
Well, he was with that a cappella group, Coldplay, I think their name was. And as far as I know, they're still performing. So not surprisingly, he was the bass singer in that group. But
He sounds an awful lot like that guy from Alabama.
What's his name?
Well, I don't know what that guy's name is. Got that deep voice that sings with Alabama.
Oh, with the group Alabama. Okay.
Yeah. And the second question.
You're talking about Oak Ridge Boys.
That's that's right. The Oak Ridge Boys. Yeah. And the other question is for Hewie. I got an email from Starlink the other day, and it said that I needed to update my router. So I thought, So I sent an email to Starlink, and they said, no, it's a scam that's going around.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
So you might put that in your little newsletter about the little scam thing for routers for Starlink.
Thanks for letting us know. Murray, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that a piece that I put it in the chat, but sort of a unique musical piece was something called Popcorn by my recording was by Hot Butter. It was composed in 1969, and I bought the single in 72 by Hot Butter.
And the original was by Gershon Kingsley.
That's right. And I found both those recordings on YouTube. That'd be an interesting one to hear your comments on, because it was quite unique and very catchy.
Yeah, and buttered and salted too. All right. Any other comments, questions?
One thing to remember about the bass singer we heard today, his uniqueness is not the fact that he's got such a very deep bass voice, but he's got 5 octaves. Okay, he can do a tenor just as well as he does a full bass. And that's what makes him so very unique.
Yeah, there was
Did he
another
do
guy like
female-
that. I think a Russian guy was like that too, who had a
Does he
really
do
deep
female
voice.
voices as well?
I don't know.
Russian guy could.
There's a guy in I forget what country it was, but it was somewhere around Indonesia, and the guy actually sang a duet by himself with female and male voices at the same
That's
time.
Called a falsetto voice.
Or
Yeah, this
countertenor.
guy was incredible. He won the whole darn competition.
Mhm.
Or countertenor.
Right.
Carl, you have your hand up.
Yeah, was that Ray, was that background animated or was that a real background and somebody was riding along in a video?
Not that I know for sure, but when I looked at it, that seemed to be real to me.
Well, I was thinking too, I was wondering if it wasn't real, how you do that walking. I mean, it's one thing to have a, wallpaper like I have, but to be walking along a animated, do that.
You just stand still and walk, and the background moves. That's how that's accomplished. If that's the use.
But you're saying you're faking, you're just walking in place?
Yeah, that's all you have to do. If the background moves and you walk, it looks like you're actually moving.
Okay.
I don't know, so that's beyond my capabilities.
And that's saying a lot.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Ron, what do you got going?
In case
this
you're
week?
interested, at one time I was in a glee club and I was a soprano. That's before my voice changed.
You were a soprano?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you were a bass. Yeah.
Yeah, your voice changed a little bit, Bob.
Yeah, it has.
I think it'd be cooler if you were falsetto.
No, thanks.
That would hurt.
Ron, any final comments from you?
Don't forget Thursday, Tech for Senior Live the gang will be there this Thursday. Please come and listen and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Drew, you have your hand up. Speaking of deep voices.
Get unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
For those of you who would like to be able to use Bing Chat on Firefox, for example, on your I'm putting into the chat the web link for this one is for the Chrome version. There's a Chrome version and a Firefox version. It's called the User Manager Session Switcher, I believe, and it basically makes your browser pretend as though it really is Microsoft Edge, so that when you go to bing.com/chat, Google, it will let you use whatever browser you want to use.
It's the workarounds that we have to come up with. It's just amazing.
Yeah, but you can use Bing in Chrome. It's not limited strictly to Edge. It can be used on virtually any.
It's just another search
Chromium, any Chromium-based browser. I did a video on that thing several shows ago of how you use it on.
It's just another search engine.
That's, yep.
Yeah, I don't want to change my search engine to Bing, so I want to leave it the way it is. This doesn't require any changes to your browser other than just loading the extension.
Do you have the link for Firefox?
If you go into Firefox and you go into their extensions and you search for User Agent Switcher, it will come up with a guy with like a little hat. It's like a little secret hat. And you can, when you load the extension, you will be given the option to choose any one of a dozen or more browsers that you can pretend it to be. I think it was originally designed for developers to test their software against websites without having to load 10 different browsers. You can have it be Edge, you can have it be Internet Explorer, you could have it be Firefox. It wasn't designed specifically for Bing Chat. It's been around for years, and it just changes your user agent. So the web server thinks that you're using Edge rather than using whatever you're using.
All right, thanks for that, Drew. And not seeing anyone else with their hands up. This has been a good session. Don't forget the premiere on the half hour. Again, we're going to be discussing, let me find my notes here. Home entertainment systems, part 2 from Ray. Where is the music coming from Ron? And I'm going to be talking about what is the immersive reader. So with that, we'll see you, I hope, on Thursday. And if you're part of APCUG, we'll see you Wednesday, I hope. And thanks everybody for joining.
Bye-bye.
Bye.